great team meeting as well. So that was fantastic. We're live, aren't we? We're live right now. Okay. So question.
Yeah, we had our trainer meeting this morning. That went well. I feel that it's just really fun to see everybody and to get connected like that and to feel like it's working. The organization and plan is strong and working and good. So yay. And I'm in a space of extreme gratitude, I think, right now, feeling apt for November. So it's good.
Yeah, and I just want to add gratitude. It was very soothing for me today. I think being a coach, it can, you've got your own practice and business. It can be a bit lonely. So I just want to encourage anyone out there, make sure you're part of a network or you're part of something. I didn't realize how much I haven't been able to come to a few, how much I'd missed them. So thank you, Coach Tracy, right in that space. It felt good. Okay, 2 questions then I'm going to share. So first question is, what are powerful questions? And then the second question that we've got is, what do you do with an overconfident coach? So where should we start, John?
I'm kind of curious about the overconfident coach. Like, from what perspective? Like, you're the client and you're working with the coach, and the coach thinks that they're way better than what they are? Or
I don't know the context of this question. It just says, what do you do with an overconfident coach?
Overconfident coach. Let's first go into what is an overconfident coach, and then maybe we can unpack it from there. What do you think? How would you define overconfident coach?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I would like to relate this to myself in terms of if I'm in a place of overconfidence, which can happen if my ego gets the best of me, it's actually, one of my vices can be kind of going into pride. And I'm not in a growth mindset when I'm in that space.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of some examples, which I can share later on, where it's got the better of me. I was thinking, what's the saying? Pride before fall, something like that, when I've been in that space. But the thing that really jumped out to me, and as I said, relating it to myself or people that I've interacted with, potentially overconfidence is not necessarily being in a growth mindset. I don't know. What do you think, John?
Yeah, no, I'm listening to you, like I'm sinking into your energy as you're talking about it. And just it's fascinating. And at the same time, I'm trying to think where in my own life or how does this apply? What happens? I think there have been a handful of times that I have been overconfident, mostly in terms of giving workshops and sometimes leading courses. And it hasn't turned out well. Like, usually it ends up with me not working on the project or the project not going very well. But it's an odd place to be in, thinking like, yeah, I think I'm awesome, but I'm not. I think a lot of times people have the opposite problem, where they think that they're worse than what they are when they're starting out coaching. In terms of coaching world, and people I've trained, I think there isn't sometimes people who have counseling degrees or PhDs or have had a lot of training. They come in and they meet coaching, where coaching is asking people to put down their expertise, but these are people who've basically spent their lives building expertise. And so there's this conflict when they get into training class between, I know my stuff, I know what I'm doing, this is what the client needs to do, but the coaching model says, no, you have to put all of that down. I've seen that happen in that dynamic. And it's amazing when people who have that much expertise get it and can say, look, I can put this expertise down. I need to, and I can pick up that expertise when I need to as well. It's not asking an either in the coaching session. Yes, it's an either or. But outside of a coaching session, and you're looking at the totality of your impact as a human being, it's helpful to have both. both ideas of, yeah, I'm an expert, I know what I'm talking about, and yes, I can be a coach and be completely empty and let go of all the expertise. I think overconfidence happens when people try to bring expertise into a coaching session. And it just, I mean, it's interesting to think of it as overconfidence because I often think of it as a lack of skill. And maybe instead of overconfidence is thinking I have too much skill when you don't. There have been times when I've given workshops that I feel like I have way more confidence and I'm just bad. And I feel like I could be so good and it just doesn't come off well. And I've watched videos of myself do it. It's painful. It's probably the most painful thing like anyone can do is looking at themselves leading workshops or giving a speech or something. And it's bad. That is really hard. Yeah, that's what I got, Raj. I don't know. I feel like it's an interesting question. I'm kind of curious where it came from.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I guess I'm thinking as well, in your experience in running a organization that trains coaches, how does a trainer or an assessor manage that?
Right. I feel like we do a really good job of acknowledging the expertise that they have built and honoring it and saying, great, good, you have this. Like, this is a useful thing. Coaching is another gear. It's another toolbox, but it doesn't mean that you have to find homes for all of your previous tools. You can keep them and use them, embrace them. Coaching can maybe even make them better. And in this coaching space, we're training people to be coaches, which means you have to put down the expertise, which is a lot like going to, let's say, an exercise class where the instructor at the exercise class says, okay, for right here, right now, we're going to be doing this exercise. It would be like going to an exercise class and then saying to the teacher, no, you all are going to be doing this exercise for this 2-hour period of time, but I'm going to be over here doing my own thing and just, my own set of exercises that I've learned how to do before. I mean, that's a lot what it's like when people try to take, like say, well, my experience is awesome, better than this. Like, let me show you how awesome I am. I mean, it would be as ridiculous. It's as ridiculous as someone coming into an exercise space expecting to do a completely different exercise routine. So I think we do a pretty good job of honoring that previous exercise routine. Said, yes, like, you have a great exercise routine, but for now we're going to be doing this one. I think we do a really good job of setting that. And I think we also back it up with, this is what the science says. This is why we're doing this exercise. This is all of the research that says this is a useful thing. That doesn't mean that this is the only useful thing, but it is solid. So what are we doing here? That's my energy around that one. I actually enjoy it when people push back more, but it means they're engaging with it. And at every class I've led, there's a period where it feels like the class, like you win you earn the class's trust. Like, they trust you. They yeah, we're in good hands. We know what we're doing. We're getting stuff out of it. Like, I'm growing as a person. I feel safe. That's really what we're aiming for.
There can be a real discomfort for people, can't there? It's almost that the unlearning, letting go of everything, and now you've got to be a beginner again, in a sense. And that can be tough for some of us to embrace. What words of wisdom do you have for people?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this too, in terms of marketing and all of it. Like, so in the past 5 years, I've hired maybe a half dozen marketing people to help just to get eyes on this and figure out, okay, I realized I came at this as a high school Latin teacher. Like I went from college directly into teaching a dead language. I have zero corporate experience. Like I didn't go and work, uh, at a consulting firm and got to see a lot of different organizations or even be in one where I was expected different things. What I have found though, is because we have, our admin team now has some people who have had corporate experience in this way. There's some distinct advantages to the way that coach training EDU runs because it doesn't come from, there's no like, we're doing this because this is the way it needs to be done, or this is the way it has been done. It doesn't have, it feels like a school. It feels like more like a school, like a school that has come together, and it's like people are doing things because they need to get done type of feel, like a family business. Like it is. I mean, that's like a mom pop shop, feels like that in a lot of ways. And I am recognizing the extreme value in those ideas that have happened in the business world because they're strong and they're good and they matter and they do help. And where I've been spending a lot of time thinking lately is like, what are the unknown unknowns? What are the things that I don't even know that I don't know? Those are the trippy ones. And the marketers, so I have hired these marketers to help, but I realize like 20-30% of what they say is gold. It's like, this is awesome. There's a full 20-30% that if I took that advice and just ran with it without my own input would be very, very bad. And I've learned this and I've done this and it has been very, very bad. So that to me is like utterly fascinating, that maybe you, like me, unless I spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars in this space, that a lot of times because I've been in it, I know best where things are at. Even if I'm hiring really, marketers who've had lots of success and done all these things, they still don't know the coaching world. They don't know this world. They don't know my world and like where I am at. And I feel like very similar to clients, like you as a person, there are so many spaces in our lives where you know more about this. Like you are the authority in your life. You have this authority. And I feel like that it's oddly, I think when I take it on, it's oddly humbling and exciting at the same time. Well, I spend a lot of time in this realm. I really do. And part of me thinks, well, maybe it's because of my background. I'm extra sensitive to what I don't know in the business world. But then I've also done a lot of executive coaching. And I feel like some of the stuff that happens in the executive world is so wildly off. I think, okay, and I have taken workshops with other people in the executive world, and I realized there is there is a lack of skill set that I've found around empathy or hearing, or it's not this mystic world where people get into it and they suddenly gain amazing communication skills and business savviness. No, that's not true. So that's my take on this. This idea of overconfidence and being able to learn oddly where to trust yourself and then where to ask for help is, gosh, if I could do that. It's wow, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I'm just reflecting as well, as I said, in terms for me, it's that self-awareness. I think we've talked before, it's not going one extreme or the other. How do I meet in the middle? So it's either being too critical and you've got the inner critic going, or as I said, for me, a couple of occasions really tripped me up. I think it was earlier this year, I had an interview and I didn't do any prep for it. I was in this, I've got this. Yeah, I'm in interviews all the time. I'm talking all the time. And that's not like me not to do any prep at all. And it really tripped me up. And it was a really great wake up call of humility, which for whatever reason I needed at that time, because I was a waffling buffoon, as I would say. I couldn't even get my words out. So I think it was just a great learning opportunity. And I have to remind myself to stay in the virtue of humility, because as a coach, you've talked about borrowed insight. Like, growth is ongoing. We're always learning something new.
It's true. It's true. I had a presentation with the dean of a college about a year ago now. I prepped so much for it, and yet I was still so bad. And I thought, oh no, what did I do? Oh, I beat myself up for like weeks after, because I didn't hear from them about it either. And I just like, all this months of work just gone. And it realized after like 2 weeks, I heard back, and the note I got was, yeah, of course we're moving forward. Like, why would you think otherwise? So I realized I spent 2 weeks. I still was bad. But I spent 2 weeks even like just doing it and just really beating myself up. And gosh, I don't know, Raj. I don't know what to do about those situations where I feel like it does take a lot of heart courage to get in there and to put yourself out there, and then to still not perform well, and then to have to pick it up again and keep moving forward. They just need a hug. Okay. If that's you, here's your hug. I've done it myself a lot. I once gave a talk to like, this is a while ago. I haven't thought of this in a while. I was teaching high school. I gave a talk at a 4-H club or something like this in Southern Oregon. Someone in the audience was a board member for the state of California. Something where they had a conference with like 3,000 people. The Secretary of Education in California canceled last minute. They needed a speaker. They asked me to do it. I had 2 weeks to prep for this thing, 3,000 people. It could have launched me in such a big way, but I was so bad on stage. I thought I would be better, and I prepped, but not as much as I probably could have or should have. And it was painful. I did okay, but it was painful. And looking back, I think, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would do it again. If I couldn't relive it again. Now I obviously feel like I have different tools. Like, I would rock it in different ways, but no, I was bad. What about you, Raj? What was the biggest? Have you? This brings up, for me, it's just bringing these up. I have like 5 more things.
Yeah, I have many things, and I was attempting not to coach myself, but all those questions were popping up, and I was wondering what kind of questions even our listeners would have. But I think one of the things I always say to myself, you might have heard me say it before, is there's no failure, there's only feedback. So, like, what was the greatest thing about being so bad? And I have been so bad on many occasions, but what was the greatest thing about it?
The greatest thing about it is that it's completed. It's finished. It's in the rear view mirror. It's the best part.
You can let it go.
Yeah. What about for you?
I think the fact that I had the courage to even allow myself to be so bad. I can be a bit of a perfectionist and overly thinking or over caring or comparing, comparison to other people. Even with doing these videos, I was joking to somebody the other day. I said, you just have to let it go. Like, if I started to watch back all of these, I'm sure there's things that I've said or done or thought, wow, really could have been better, or I could have showed up in a certain way. But for me, it's continuously being courageous and hold myself accountable to that.
Yeah, there's definitely an ouch element around this, where it just, I don't know, I think anyone trying to craft or create anything, you just sign up for it. You just got to sign up for the owies and say, yes, there are things that are going to hurt, rejection, disappointments, all of it. But having something that you're working towards, like, again, like, I think the thing that always got me out was the mission or the movement. Even now, like, I have some ideas of the next project I want to do in 2022. Oh, I am so psyched for it. And it just feels so exciting. There's an element where I think, yeah, it's going to be hard. There's going to be setbacks. It's not going to be all pretty, but it's worth it. And that's what's cool about coaching, is you can find something that's worth even the owie or the failure. So I guess bottom line, my point is, it doesn't, I don't think it serves me or anyone really to try to avoid the ouch, as much as it's come up with a clear plan, a clear idea, a clear meaning that makes the ouch worth it. And if you have that, it's much easier to get up, do it again, rinse and repeat, learn, and let go.
It also makes me think about something I shared the other week when I was doing a women in leadership program. We're going to do PowerPoint karaoke, and it was the reminder of our own expectations. And I said, nobody else is potentially thinking about you, because everybody else is worried about themselves. So that's something else that helps me with a reframe. If I get into that space of overthinking, it's a good friend of mine said to me once, to snap me out of it, she said, what makes you think you're so important? And I was like, what? Excuse me? She said, what makes you think everyone's thinking about you? And I was like, are they not?
The most nervous I ever got speaking was I did Portland's Funniest Person stand up for 6 minutes. And it was the most exhilarating thing. I want to go back to it. I really, there's something about stand-up comedians, like the courage it takes for them. I'm just utterly fascinated with the whole thing. And oh my goodness, I had a comedy coach, and he said something, and it really hit hard. He said, look, the audience is not trying to mess you up. The audience wants you to succeed more wildly beyond your own expectations. It's so when you could tap into that, and it's the same thing on any content that's created. It's not that, I think there's a myth that people feel afraid that other people want them to fail. They don't. So when you're watching a movie, you're not watching a movie and thinking, oh, I hope this movie's terrible. Like, you don't want to do that. You watch a movie and you're like, yeah, I hope this movie is amazing. Like, you want the movie to be good. Same idea. Like, people want you to be good. The same, they want you to be a good coach. They want you to be a good comedian. They want you to be a good speaker. Like, all of it. It's so the audience is actually like friendly. They're on your side, and tapping into that helps me the most.
So I don't know, this time goes so quick. We've only got a few minutes left, so we will pick up powerful questions next time. But John, we had a question come in, and I'm wondering if we can answer it in the next few minutes. So it's from Kate. What are your suggestions on how to address or explore this area when clients don't follow through on anything across multiple sessions?
It's a great question. This would be a good one to pick up. I feel like we could do a whole half hour on that. Quick answers though. One is to directly address it and say, look, you haven't done anything in the last 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 sessions. Why? And then the choice point comes as a coach, is that there's some learning there that you can get for your client that feels more like that feels really big. Like, so like use it. Like, where else in your life do you not follow through on the things you say? How does that fit into the narrative that you have about yourself? What would your future self say? You just get into it, right? So one path of getting into it is getting into it for the sake of learning and not trying to find the way for your client to follow through on things, right? So you almost actively want them to not follow through on things for the sake of the increased learning and insights. That's one path that I think is really useful. Another useful path is from a pure logistical design the alliance standpoint, is this coaching worth it? Is it really moving you forward, or is it not moving you forward? Do you need to find a different coach? Do we need to find a way for you to follow through on these things or not? Like, where are you at? What's the, like that, in that sense, you really are exploring. It is a problem that you're not following through on this on a consistent basis. Both paths have value. I think it's important to keep those paths very separate, though, when you are exploring them. And my favorite is the learning one more than the logistical trying to solve it. What's your take, Raj? What would you add or modify?
Yeah, I agree. Just that curiosity. It could be time to revisit the Design the Alliance. I've had clients as well who was thinking about jet lag, and they're almost catching up with themselves. I've worked with them for a while and their growth, and they might have been setting actions or goals from who they were when we started the journey, and when we kind of checked in on how relevant is that for them in the space now, it's almost as though their goals have changed and grown, and even the actions that they had set like 3 weeks prior, they're not even relevant for what they've learned about themselves and where they want to go. Like, they've caught up with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do like a checkpoint, a check-in in terms of where they're at with who they are now.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think back to specific conversations I've had or listened to coaches go through this as well. Another perspective that I've seen is not having the between sessions be an action step, but just to be a perspective shift, like to see what happens when you let go of trying to work on this action step or create an action plan. Interestingly, when the ICF updated their new standards, I feel like this happened maybe last October. Could have been 2 Octobers ago. No, I think it was just 1 year ago, though. Anyway, they moved away from action. There used to be 11, 3 of them dealt with action. Then now there are only 8, and only 1 of them really deals with action. And even then, action is coming out of a learning or an insight that a client has. So I think there's this acknowledgement in the coaching world that it has gone more towards the model of coach training EDU what we've adopted, which is learning being and doing. Learning is the key that really opens up the insights. And then those insights, they show up in how someone is, how someone bees, and the doing. And maybe it's a slightly different approach. The coach takes an approach that we're not going to get an action step, but we're just going to get a learning insight and see what happens. Yeah, I think that would. I would start there.
Yeah, I wanted to carry on, but I'll stop there as well. Maybe we can pick it up next time. My brain's going around this bit around facilitating growth versus sometimes people set over actions. They just are have been action orientated. So I'm just thinking about how do you challenge even that as a coach?
Yeah, I think that the thing, like that, gratitude or saying thank you is an appropriate response like 80-90% of the time. I feel like appropriate response in coaching is curiosity. But it's hard sometimes to remember to be curious, because there are times when the judger, the internal judgment feels like, well, you need to act on that. Like there are times when that is important too. So, I mean, themes for this podcast, I realize we have to themes for this cast, and then we will have to end. I think sometimes it's really challenging to know when to trust your own authority, like when to trust your own, to trust your own instincts. And then also when to know to ask for help, like when to know, oh, this is an unknown, or I don't even know the unknowns. Oh my goodness, if we could capture that, that would be something. So that's my big takeaway. What about for you, Raj?
I'm just gonna stay with the word curiosity. I think curiosity, and close on that, because I know we need to close and I want to keep chatting. So I guess we can pick up more next week.
Excellent. Thank you all for listening.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, John. Bye.
See you.